Welcome to the Moving Past You radio show, a show about identifying, confronting, and embracing the obstacles that block and delay us in walking in our divine purpose. Each week, we delve into the complexities and rewards of walking in your purpose. Now, here's your host, Juanita Gaynor.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this evening's broadcast. I'm so excited to be with you on this evening. It has just been an amazing week, but we have an amazing guest on this evening. And when I say God has just been really good about season 4. He has connected me with some amazing women. And yes, right now, all of them are girls, but guys, you can come on too. But he's connected me with some amazing women with some amazing stories, and how each and every young lady is just knocking it out, walking in their purpose, dealing and just effortlessly moving through life. And that's what I'm excited for. So the young lady, and I say young lady because, that's what I can do. It's my show. But, the young lady I have with us on this evening is Miss Julie McLean. And we're going to be talking about today, let's talk suicide prevention and how a conversation can save a life. And this is an important topic I'm gonna bring me back to. This topic is very important because we don't talk about it enough. And I've made a conscious effort this particular season and this month to have conversations with this. And Julie is going to be, one who is an advocate. She talks about it. She's been about it. So I'm so excited to be able to have her on. So let's go ahead and let's talk about Miss Julie. Let's see who we have. Let me tell you her bio. Let me tell you her, details. Julie McLean, speaker and TEDx talker, was raised in a small town in New Jersey, and at the age of 16 was ready to take her own life. She has struggled with her mental health from that time on, and almost every day since then has thought about dying by suicide. Like others, she felt the stigma associated with mental health, and mental illness made her an outsider. And with no one to talk to, her struggles continued. In 2019, she reached a breaking point only to have her husband save her life by asking the 3 most important questions. Are you okay? Do you want to hurt yourself? And do you have a plan? The answers to these questions finally got her the help she needed. And she enrolled in an intensive talk therapy group. Finding out that talking had helped, she realized that she wanted to help others to not be afraid to share how they felt. And that's when Julie decided to start the convo and make it her mission to end mental health stigma and lower suicide rates. Today, Julie is a mental health and suicide awareness advocate, as a suicide prevention speaker, a TEDx speaker, a trainer, and a coach, helping organizational leaders get comfortable talking and implementing measures to address suicide prevention in their organizations. Now, before I bring Julie up to the platform, I am going to play a trigger warning because, again, we are very understanding that this can be triggering to someone. And we want to make sure that you have the resources that are necessary to help you go through this conversation.
Hello, and welcome to today's discussion on suicide prevention. We want to start by acknowledging that the topic we're about to discuss can be very sensitive and may be triggering for some individuals. We're committed to providing a safe and supportive environment for our listeners, so we want to offer a trigger warning. If you or someone you know is struggling with thoughts of suicide, please know that you are not alone, and there is help available. This discussion is intended to provide information and support, but it may bring up difficult emotions for some. During this conversation, we will be talking about strategies for suicide prevention, recognizing warning signs, and seeking help for yourself or others. While we will strive to handle this topic with care and sensitivity, if you find that this discussion becomes too distressing, we encourage you to pause or step away as needed. Remember, it's okay to seek help and reach out to professionals or support networks. You don't have to face this alone. If you or someone you know is in immediate crisis, please call your local emergency number or a suicide prevention hotline. In the United States, you can call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK, that's 1-800-273-8255. Thank you for joining us today. Let's begin our discussion with the utmost compassion and understanding for one another.
And with that, I am going to bring up Miss Julie McLean. Hi, Julie.
Hi, Juanita.
How are you today?
I'm doing really well. How are you today?
I am doing very, very well. Like I said, I'm so excited to have you on board because, in our one-on-one and our talking about it, I just not only loved your passion, but your compassion. As someone who had walked through it, you really just impressed upon me the need to have the conversation. So I know I read some part, in your bio and things like that, but I would like for you to lead us into that initial step on your journey to being what you are today.
The beginning step of my journey started back when I was a child, coming from a slightly abusive household. And that first realization that I did not want to be on this earth any longer because I didn't want to have to deal with the pain that was associated with what I was going through. But for me, I was fortunate that I had this sudden realization that if I leave this world, what's going to happen to my family, and specifically my mom and my sister. And that carried on throughout the years. It was not my last attempt to take my own life. As a matter of fact, my son was 3 the next time I tried to take my own life. And realizing that what's going to happen to my son if I'm not here was a huge realization for me. But I think the crux of my journey has all come down to the last 4 years when in 2019, my husband came home. I was crying hysterically, and I told him I was going to leave. And he did not like that answer because we had a great marriage and have had a great marriage for over 30, almost 30 years. So it's been a lot. And that's when he asked me those all important questions. The first one was, "Are you okay?" He knew I wasn't, but he asked the question anyway, and all I could do was shake my head no. And then the second question was, "Do you want to hurt yourself?" He knew that I struggled with my mental health, so that was a question that was next commonly to come in line. And I think the one that surprised me the most was, "Do you have a plan?" Because I most certainly did. I had been planning for weeks. And for him to ask that question, it really was kind of really upfront in my face saying, yes, this is really what I want to do. But from there, he never left my side after that. He never left me alone. I wasn't even allowed to go to the bathroom by myself. He kept a close eye on me. And the following day, I got the help that I needed and was put into intensive therapy. And those first 3 days in my therapy, I hung my head down. I had my bangs covering my eyes. I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't look at anybody. I just stayed by myself. I was very isolated until I realized around the third day that all these people in this room are going through something very similar that I've just gone through and have been going through. And they're freely talking about it because this was a safe place. And that's when I started opening up and realizing that as I'm talking, I'm actually feeling better because people are understanding what I'm trying to say. And if they didn't understand, they asked questions, they never passed judgment. And that's what started it all, realizing that having the ability to ask questions without passing judgment and talking to people without that judgment made me realize that the stigma that's associated with mental health and mental illness is huge. And I have a little bit of a different take on this as well, because yes, I am a suicide survivor, but I also have a family member who died by suicide. So I
Wow.
kind of understand what he went through coming to that end part. At the same time, I understand what I went through. And the first thing I had to do to start this journey was get myself right, get
Yeah.
myself safe for me.
Mhm.
And part of that was learning how to confront the negative self talk that I had in my head and teaching myself how to relax, how to be calm, how to take control of me and not relying on the fact and not using the excuse that this is the way I was brought up, this is the way I have to be.
Right.
I don't have to be who I was. I can be anybody I want to be. It's up to me. And conquering that negative self talk that I always had in my head. I guess I shouldn't say conquering because I still deal with it all the time.
Right.
But I think we all do
Right.
at some
Yeah.
points in time is deal with that negative self talk. It's because we learn the first words we learn are no when we're children. So
Yes.
we're not naturally born into negative self-talk. We're actually taught it and we don't realize it until we go through something like I went through and had that realization that this is, a big part of my challenge is to get through that negative self-talk. And so now